Hey friends, we're going to be talking about makeup today. I'm going to be sharing with you my very top picks from the past year. And no, these are not products that were released in 2022. I don't even remember what happened yesterday, and I don't remember what I ate for breakfast. I absolutely do not remember which products were released this year or last year or are scheduled to be released in the coming year. I have no idea. So I would much rather share with you products that are meaningful to me because they consistently applied well, they performed well. I reached for them a lot, and I would definitely repurchase them when I run out of them. I think that that is more meaningful to share than the top picks from the past year. So I hope that that makes sense to you. And I'm going to be doing my high-end and luxury items in this video, followed up by a drugstore or affordable version video. Why do I do that? Because I think people search in YouTube by that. So I don't necessarily think of products in those categories. I just think about what works for me. So if you follow me on Instagram, and by the way, it's at Essential Veronica on Instagram, you'll see reels where I mix and match products. I don't do like a high-end face and a drugstore face. I just kind of mash them together and enjoy the products that I enjoy. However, some people prefer to have them separated out, and people look for it that way in YouTube. So I'll try that out and see how that goes. I'm going to start off with primer, which is the first product that I typically apply to my face, and I'm going to go all the way through setting spray and try to hit like a top product in each of the categories, maybe two if there's a tie or something like that. I also do not plan to review any skincare. If you're interested in my skincare picks, let me know. I'd be happy to do that as well. I know a lot more about makeup than I do about skincare, but I do have some favorites in the skincare realm, and I'm always happy to share them with you and to hear your thoughts about the products and what your favorites are too. So let's jump into the favorites of the past year. I'm already breaking my own rule and starting off with two in the category of primer. Do you need primer? It's up for debate. You will see makeup artists on YouTube tell you, nope, you don't need it. Just go on and do your routine. Just make sure that you're moisturized well beforehand. And then you'll see other people advocate for primer as helping to keep your makeup look together for the day and serve as a flawless foundation on which to apply makeup. So test it out for yourself. Everybody's skin is so different one to the next. You have to find what works for you. I personally enjoy the primer step, and I do think that it makes a difference in the overall wear of my foundation, particularly and especially if I have a day where I'm wearing luminous products. That's when I find it makes the biggest difference, and I have two. So I want to share that I really enjoy the Airbrush primer from Hourglass, the Vanish Airbrush primer it's called. I really like that this has a nice blurring effect on the skin. I do have a lot of texture on my skin. You see here, this is from being a teenager and messing with my face and just genetics in general. I have larger pores maybe than some people. And so I enjoy a primer like this that helps to blur out the look of large pores on my face and kind of mattify my face without making it dry. I prefer my skin to be a little bit juicy, and so mattifying primers are really only on days when I know I'm going to be sweating a lot. I really prefer something that doesn't dry out my face. Anyway, this is a lovely one. Here's what it looks like. And it goes on. You can already see what I'm saying? How it has mattified and filled in and blurred out the pores in this space versus maybe the lines and texture here. So it does the same thing on your face. And then on days when I want a luminizing dewy primer, I reach for the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk Hydrating Primer. This is a little bit more jelly-like. Look at that shine, y'all. So if you are the type of person that likes moisturizer on top of moisturizer on top of moisturizer, try this one out. It feels really good, and it has just enough stickiness without being sticky for your base products to adhere to nicely. And I like that it makes me nice and glowy. Let's talk about one of my favorite categories, foundation, and then we'll follow that up with concealer. And I usually put on concealer first, but sometimes I do foundation first. This is, to me, also a super tough category because I have become a bit of a foundation junkie. I've probably got 50 or more foundations easily. The majority of them are higher end, and luxury, although there are some beautiful choices at the drugstore that I'll talk about in the next video. So here's where I feel like I'm being so disloyal for only picking one, maybe two. I will give a shout out to the Haus Labs foundation that was released this year. Absolutely wonderful, beautiful, natural finish. Okay, but that's not my top pick of the year, although it's pretty darn fabulous. So I'm gonna do two. In the category of most skin-like foundation that gives you a little bit of a natural glow, I am an oily gal, as you can see, and I have a lot of natural oil breakthrough during the day. It's the Dior Forever Skin Glow Foundation. This one is in the color 3W, I guess that's warm olive, 3W warm olive. Adore this stuff. Every time I put it on, I feel like $1,000,000. I get nice coverage. I would say medium coverage, not full coverage, but it looks so natural, flexible, and skin-like. And then when I want a little bit more coverage and I want to be a tiny bit more matte and like put together, the Very Valentino foundation is fantastic. This is the Light Lasting Perfecting Foundations. These names on these foundations, you all, go on for like, they wrap around the equator and back. And I have mine in the color MN4, medium neutral 4, although there's a wide range for both of these in terms of the colors. Fabulous. I enjoy reaching for these, and I know I'm going to have a flawless foundation day. Concealer is another product that I have 9,486 bottles of. I love it. I love trying them out. And because I am aging and I'm starting to get a lot more texture and wrinkles under my eye, you know, I really want to try out a concealer that's going to minimize that look. I also understand I have, you know, look at this. I have frown lines. I have whatever you call these, crow's feet. I have smile lines. I have everything in between. Why did I talk about frown lines? And I have marionette lines that are forming. There's a lot more like crevices appearing on my face as I get older. And I don't necessarily want to blur all of that stuff out. I mean, I'm not that person that has to look completely flawless. I have wrinkles. So what? I've smiled a lot and I've cried a lot in my life, and it shows on my face, and here we are. But I would like to have a concealer that does not accentuate that stuff. I want a concealer that's going to work with it, maybe minimize it somewhat, and look natural on me. And one of my favorites for that is the Lancome Teinte Idole Ultrawear All Over Concealer. So you're supposed to be able to use this all over your face, like here and so forth, which I didn't do very well today. I'm wearing this concealer today, and the secret for me is you don't really need to set this. It's a pretty thick concealer, so I put like a dot on the inside, a dot on the outside, and I tap, tap, tap it out. I let it dry, and then I tap it out again, because it does crease a little bit when it dries, but when I tap it out that second time, it behaves itself. So, you know, if you're used to creaseless under eyes, you might say, well, you still have creases. Well, this is the best that my under eyes look, okay, with concealer. So I really like this. This is in the color 260. Let's apply a little. The one thing I don't like is it's a pretty, like the applicator like makes that noise when it comes out of there. And I'm always worried that it's gonna go flying across because it's a pretty stiff exit. But you see how thick that is? If you like a thinner concealer, I would advise looking at the Armani, I think it's the Armani Power Fabric. That concealer, I use that a lot too on days that I want thinner coverage. This is a nice medium to full coverage concealer. Just a reminder, if you use this, you do, at least in my opinion, need to pat it out a second time and you're good to go for the day. I really like this stuff. In the category of eyeshadow base, sometimes when I'm lazy, I will literally just use my concealer and bring it up through my eyeshadow area. But I'll tell you, I really do see a difference on days when I actually use a proper eyeshadow base versus a concealer. So the concealer is the lazy way. If you like a really vibrant look and you use bright eyeshadows, I'm talking about like pastel colors, really vibrant colors, nothing beats the Anastasia eye primer. The reason is that it gives you one of the only, and there are others, but one of the only white bases on the market. Look at that. And you only need a little drop. I would not advise rubbing it into your eyeshadow area. I would advise patting it. But anyway, that gives you a nice base to put your eyeshadows onto. So this is the one that I love the most, and this is the MAC Pro Longwear Paint Pots. I have one in the color Ochre, which is this more yellowy tone, and this is in the color Laying Low, but Painterly, the color Painterly is nice as well. I have not opened these. The last ones that I had for 4 years or something, and they ended up drying out later on. They performed really well for a few years. So anyway, I just bought these recently and do not want to open them. But imagine that this has a thicker consistency, so it's a little bit waxier on the eye. And it blends out to give you sort of an opaqueness over your eye. Like this, you can still see through, but it's white. These give you an opaqueness for your eyeshadow. And I find that my eyeshadows last the very longest when I use these paint pots. The next category is eyeshadow, and this is the one that I dread the most because I have so many eyeshadow palettes that I absolutely love. My favorite formulas are Natasha Denona, Pat McGrath. I enjoy the Patrick Ta palettes that were actually released this past year, both the more brown, warm toned one and the rosy toned one, Major Dimensions 1 and 2. Beautiful palettes. But if I had to go with one, I'm going to go with the formula concept here. One eyeshadow formula that I think is top notch, that I had to choose above all the others. It's actually Sydney Grace shadows, you all. And I have this palette that has a lot of singles in here. Look at this beautiful site. I mean, just look at this. Have you ever seen a more beautiful thing? Bonus points if you know what that's in reference to. So I curated these and picked these out when Sydney Grace was having a sale probably a couple of years ago. And I love the variety of tones and textures in here. Well, there's actually really only two textures. There's like a shimmery, almost metallic one and a matte one. Well, that's not true because then you have this one here that is a little bit shimmery and these get more metallic. Okay, so maybe we have three formulas, but I love that these singles, you can curate them and purchase them off the website. They're super buttery. They apply really well. They're heavily pigmented and they stay on your eye all day long. You will have no performance nor longevity problems out of your Sydney Grace shadows. Let me swatch a few so you get the idea. This is the color Sweetheart, this beautiful, soft, buttery, effortless. It's so effortless purple here. This gorgeous, like bluish, greenish, turquoisey color called Comforter. This green, look at this green color called Springtime. I mean, those are so pretty. And let me do a matte or two. This is called Piper's Piping. Ooh, just look how smooth that goes on. And one of my favorite colors is this one, Caramel, which is just the most beautiful base shade in the crease of your eye, or it could be a one and done type of shadow. I love these Sydney Grace shadows so much that I bought that entire amount and put them in that big palette. And honestly would not hesitate to buy more. I mean, I don't need more because it'll take me years and years to even put a dent in these, but my goodness, hands down, Sydney Grace wins. So we're gonna move on then to mascara, and I have two holy grails that I have been using and repurchasing over and over and over again, year after year at this point. The Pat McGrath Dark Star Mascara, this is on days that I want a more dry formula. It has an Hourglass wand. This is a brand new one, and so I haven't opened it yet, and I have a rule with mascaras that once I open them, I don't use them more than maybe 3 or 4 months, 5 months if I'm being lazy and really pushing it, because all mascaras, I don't care what brand they are, start to dry out over time. So I don't want to start the drying out process on this just yet. And then the same goes for Monsieur Big from Lancome. Monsieur Big from Lancome, which is a wetter formula. So dry on the Pat McGrath, a lot wetter, juicier formula on the Monsieur Big. This gives me nice separation and length. This does the same thing, but also gives high volume. I'm not wearing either of these today. I have on the Lash Paradise from L'Oreal, but these are two favorites that I have repurchased over and over again and will continue to do so because they've proven to be great formulas that last all day, and I don't get any fallout from these. None of the black flakes that sometimes can drop down onto your cheeks and make you look like you didn't know what you were doing with your makeup. I don't appreciate mascaras that do that, and I don't have time for those mascaras, so I will pay for these two formulas all day, every day. In the eyebrow category, I usually just do a pencil. There are some gels and so forth that I like too, but I will go with the Anastasia Brow Wiz. This is an old fave for a lot of people and it just never fails me. This is in the collar. This is in the collar, soft brown. You get the little spoolie on one end. I am wearing this today and I like the soft brown color because I actually have really dark eyebrows that are almost like an ashy, dark, brownish, blackish color, and I like that this lightens them up ever so slightly. So this entire portion of my eyebrow doesn't really exist. I just color it in with the pencil, which is like that, and it's a fairly sturdy pencil. Sometimes eyebrow pencils deteriorate and fall apart quickly, so you get these nice little strokes that are really easy to do, and they last pretty much all day. And you can drag this through your eyebrow to thicken it up too without a lot of problems. So this is a favorite of mine. Bronzer is another category that I have a bunch of. I love bronzers. It's one of my favorite categories because you can do a whole full face of bronzer. You can do cheeks, contour, eyes. You can even use it as a lip color if you have a little bit of gel or something like that to mix it with, Vaseline even. You can use it as eyeshadow. It's an all-purpose kind of product. I have a lot of favorites. I have a lot, but today, I'm gonna go with Bobbi Brown, the bronzing powder. There's a nice shade range here. And what I like most about the Bobbi Brown products, I'll show you this one. This one is in Golden Light and it's one of my favorites. Nice color. Actually, what color is this? This is in the color Natural. Both are beautiful. There's a great range, Golden Light and Natural. Long story short, these give you a nice bronzed look without overtaking your face. You can apply as much or as little. They're not super strong, they're not super light, and they blend in seamlessly. They blend out well. You can use a big brush, for example, a fan brush like this, and contour, and or you can also use a big brush and give your whole face a wash of color. So I really enjoy these. These are very underrated on YouTube, but they are reliable workhorse products. In terms of a setting powder, I have a longtime favorite in the high-end and luxury category, and it's the Hourglass Veil Translucent Setting Powder. I used this on my wedding day. I think this is just a beautiful, fine powder. I also like the Laura Mercier one. I love the Charlotte Tilbury powder, but this one here, the packaging is super luxe here, if you will. You get this little H here, you tap some in, and you can pat your big brush, your big fat brush, right into that part of it and put all over your face. I like how finely milled this is. I like that the texture of it, and I love the packaging. I just think it's a whole experience to use this product. In the category of blush, I also love Hourglass blushes. They give you a really natural, beautiful look. But for the sake of variety, an equally gorgeous product are the Rare Beauty liquid blushes. So I've got the color Peace, which is this sort of peachy color. I have Hope, which is a little bit more pinky mauvey. And then I have Bliss, which is like a flatter, cooler pink. This Peace color is one of my favorites. And let me show you how gorgeously this blends out. These are the little minis. That's really all you need. 1 dot, 2 dots. That's about all I use. On days when I'm being really extra, I will use 3 dots, but you can tap these out, or you can use a blush brush to tap them out. And look how pretty that is. It's luminous without being too shiny. It gives you like just the right amount of color on your face if you want a natural look. These are gorgeous. Or you can build it up. If you like a little bit of drama, you can build it up, and she's got a nice, this is Selena Gomez's line, a nice range of colors. Okay, we've got 4 more products. We're coming in on the back end of the video. Next is lip liner, and this is what I have on today, although not in this color. It's the Makeup Forever Artist Color Pencil. These can be used all over the face. You can use them as eyeliner, you can use them in your waterline, you can use them to line your lips. You can probably even use these for contouring strategically along the nose if you buff things out. But this is the color Anywhere Caffeine, and they're creamy, they go on nicely, they're not overpowering though, and they're pretty long lasting. You can probably still see the outline of, I think it's Wherever Walnut that I am wearing today. Let's see, what is it called? Yep, that's what I have on, Wherever Walnut, which is this color here. These are very similar. This one has a more pinky tone, and this Anywhere Caffeine is more on the brown side. But these are nice, easy to apply. They smudge out nicely, and they stay put unless you wipe them off. So they're not like everlasting. You will have to reapply them if you're eating greasy food or whatever. But I like how versatile they are and how quickly they go on the lips and work well with whatever products you're using on your lips. So then we go to lipsticks, and there's no denying that my favorite formula, hands down for a bullet lipstick, is the Gucci formula. First of all, this classic, beautiful packaging is second to none. I mean, there's a lot of flashy lipstick packaging out there. This is it. This goes on super creamy, super easy, very vibrant. You rarely have to apply 2 coats like you do, even with the Charlotte Tilbury ones. This is in the color Goldie Red or Golda Red, which is one of my faves. Look how beautiful that is. Let me show you how nicely that goes on. Look at that. Anyway, these I have in several colors. I probably have about 4 of these, and I adore them, love reaching for them. Look how pretty that is. And then in a liquid formula, and I'm not a big liquid lipstick person, but I did find a formula this year that I think is undeniably fabulous, easy to apply, long lasting, and doesn't give me the Sahara lips that most liquid lipsticks do. And this is the Huda Beauty Liquid Matte Formula. I'm going to show you the color Venus. These are so easy to put on, long lasting, very comfortable formula. How pretty is that? I also have Miss America, which is a beautiful red color, and I think a third color or something. I would love the whole range, but I'm trying to control myself and not buy every nice makeup product that I see. But I really enjoy this super comfortable formula that does not cake up on me during the day. And it also doesn't like feather out into those spaces around your lips where you have wrinkles and so forth. Fantastic formula. In the category of highlighter, which is not as popular this past year as it has been in years before on YouTube, I still like a good highlight. I use it not only on my cheeks, sometimes on the bridge of my nose. I try not to do the tip of the nose, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer kind of thing, because I think that's a little outdated, but I will use it in the inner corner of my eye, and I'll use it up here in the very like highest part of my eyebrow arch. And sometimes I'll apply it in the middle of my lip for a little bit of hit of like brightness there. My favorite highlighter, and you're gonna understand why in a minute, of this past year is from Ofra. First of all, nice, sleek packaging. This is called the Beverly Hills Highlighter. One of the reasons I love this is because who goes through a whole highlighter? No one. I don't know anyone who has used an entire highlighter. Well, you get all of the highlighter colors in one. Nice champagne gold, a little rosy color, a whiter color, flatter champagne gold. Could you call that champagne gold? So then maybe this is pinky, whatever. You get the idea. And a deeper gold there. You can swirl them around and use them all at once, or you can use any one of these colors. Let's apply that in the inner highlight area here. Let's go here. I love this. This is very, yes. This is a very multi-purpose highlighter. You see what that did? Boom. Now let's put some in here. It automatically like amps and zhuzhes up your whole look. Now let me put some on my lip. Let me go with maybe this color here. This little, maybe like a peachy tone. There we go. See how that lightens up the middle of the lip and makes it pop out a little bit more if you like that. Boom. This Ofra palette here is everything. Next, I'm going to go with like a finishing powder. I don't care what anybody says about a finishing powder. No one beats the Hourglass finishing powders, and there are 1,001 out on the market. I still have this old school palette. I have several others, but I wanted to share this to say I'm still using this because it's that good. This is the Ambient palette. It has dim light, incandescent light, and radiant light. So there's 3. And you can use any one of them, or you can just swirl around. Can you see what that just did? It gave it a little bit of a blurring effect. It's very subtle. Do you see that? How it just helps everything blend together and look like it belongs. You don't need a lot of this stuff. So good. So good. It blurs without dulling your look. In fact, it has a little itty bit of shine in each one of these. That's just fantastic. These powders, ooh, worth every penny. And the final category is setting spray. We're done. We've beat our face. It's ready for showtime, and we want it to stay in place. Some people do not believe in setting spray. I think it adds a little bit of extra zhuzh to your look if you apply lightly, and if you go on and take your sponge and very gently, once it starts to dry down, press it in. It's almost like a light hairspray for your face. Some people don't use it. That's fine. So I'll tell you, I am not a huge fan of high-end and luxury setting sprays. I think the drugstore wins the setting spray category, hands down. But if I had to choose one, which I do for this video, I'm going to go with the Urban Decay All Nighter. It's a classic. It does the job. The other thing about setting spray that I like is when you have a metallic shade or a shimmer shade that you want to bump up, you want to amp it up, you can use a packer brush like this, get your shadow on it. From a distance, just hit it a little bit with your setting spray and then apply, and it helps. And that's what I did with this green here today. It helps like liven it up, give it extra dimension, extra shine so that it really pops on your eyes. So this is the bee's knees for that. Let me know your thoughts on these picks, and I will see you in the drugstore version of this. And let me know in the comments below if you'd like to see skincare versions. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. Happy New Year and take care.